Transparency and the rule of law will be the touchstones of this presidency.
Now the Obama administration is caught in the middle of a First Amendment war between the Justice Department and the Associated Press. The AP says the government secretly collected phone records of reporters during a 2-month period last year, and it questions whether that was related to a probe into leaks of the details of a foiled terror plot last year. Joining me now is constitutional and First Amendment attorney Floyd Abrams. He's the author of Friend of the Court, on the front lines with the First Amendment. Welcome to you, Abrams. I've got to say, this whole transparency thing with the president is crumbling, isn't it? Because first of all, we had, well, in fact, let's just go back 2 weeks. The whole Guantanamo Bay issue rumbles on. A place he said he shut down, but he didn't. Then we have Benghazi, where we have apparently 12 corrections in terms of talking points. Then we have the IRS targeting Tea Partiers and people who use the word patriot or say they want to improve their country. And now we have this. We have the Justice Department targeting AP, the Associated Press. What do you make of all this? How transparent is this? Because it seems to me to be pretty non-transparent.
Look, I don't think the one we learned about today is so much a matter of transparency as a violation or at least a danger to the First Amendment, to the notion of civil liberties and the like. Some of the others, though, obviously do raise serious questions of candor with the American public. There's just no denying it.
In terms of this specific issue of the breaking story tonight involving the Associated Press, have they broken the law, the Justice Department, by doing this?
It's possible. I doubt it, though. You know, the Department of Justice has internal regulations which govern their behavior. And as a general proposition, before they go after phone records or confidential sources, they're supposed to negotiate, supposed to talk to the journalist or the journalist bosses. Here they didn't. Now, there is an exception in this rule here if by even communicating to them, it would interfere with the integrity of the investigation. But it sure is hard to believe that an investigation, which was really pretty well known around Washington and certainly to the AP, could have been so frustrated by simply giving them a chance to go to court. I mean, that's one of the real problems here. If you don't tell them in advance, if you don't tell the journalist, if you don't tell the AP, they have no recourse. They can't go to court and ask a judge to protect them because the secret is gone.
Yeah, I think it's completely outrageous. Never mind First Amendment rights, which are obviously extremely important in this particular case, but also the whole issue of protecting sources. And let's remind everyone that when they were asked to hold the story, which involved this foiled terror plot, they did do that. So they behaved very responsibly. And they've been rewarded for this responsible journalism by being kicked in the teeth, it seems to me.
Yeah. No, look, I think that's absolutely right. Now, from Justice's point of view, they don't care about that. They want to get their guy. They want to get the person who did the leaking. But in the course of that, look what they're doing. What, 20 different telephones over 2 months from the Associated Press, all those calls recorded, that is to say, who spoke to whom via telephone number, all that is now in the hands of the Department of Justice. I mean, that's not America at its best.
No, that's at its worst. And I'd like to know if they went further and actually bugged the journalists, because that wouldn't surprise me either. But let's read out 2 statements here. One from the AP's president and CEO, Gary Hewitt. He wrote to Attorney General Eric Holder and in part said there can be no possible justification for such an overbroad collection of the telephone communications of the Associated Press and its reporters. These records potentially reveal communications with confidential sources across all the news-gathering activities undertaken by the AP during a 2-month period, provide a roadmap to AP's news-gathering operations and disclose information about AP's activities and operations that the government has no conceivable right to know. We regard the action by the Department of Justice as a serious interference with AP's constitutional rights to gather and report the news. Now, the Justice Department responded by saying regulations require us to make every reasonable effort to obtain information through alternative means before even considering a subpoena for the phone records of a member of the media. We must notify the media organisation in advance unless doing so would pose a substantial threat to the integrity of the investigation. I mean, that's all very well, but the reality is that here you have a real attack on the freedom of the press, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, every word that you read, every word of the head of the Associated Press was accurate. I mean, what this does is to put in the hands of the government every indication of who spoke to whom on matters having nothing at all to do with their investigation over a 2-month period. And this is the sort of stuff, really, that if some foreign country did, the State Department would complain about on grounds of interference with human rights.
Absolutely. I think it's a total disgrace. Floyd Abrams, thank you very much indeed for joining us.